Hello, everyone. It is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar and my Avatar to the Diversity Mahotsav 2023. I am Anumita Sharma and I will be your host for today's evening. As we start, here are a few hygiene checks for a seamless virtual experience. Please close all other applications on your computer and log out from your organization's VPN to conserve internet bandwidth. We would like to thank our partners, powered by partner Kellogg Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited, supporting partners Genesis and EPAM, and our outreach partner MCCI Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav, hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your social media handles with these hashtags. I would like to inform you all that Diversity Mahotsav episodes are all being streamed live on our YouTube channel as well. You can watch your Diversity Mahotsav live on YouTube. Click on the link that is pasted on the chat window. My dear esteemed guests, welcome to the Diversity Mahotsav once again, where the spotlight shines not only on diversity, equity, and inclusion, but on the very essence of what it means to celebrate our human kaleidoscope. Avatar is proudly hosting its third edition of Diversity Mahotsav, which is a month-long festival of sharing, learning, and celebrating the uniqueness of every individual, and carrying with us the promise of inclusion into the new year. This month-long celebration is by myavatar.com. Myavatar.com is India's only diversity hiring portal, one-of-a-kind initiative. It aims to look for multi-pronged strategies to explore the world of opportunities that are out there for diverse groups. My Avatar is the brainchild of Dr. Soundarya Rajesh, founder-president, Avatar Group. Dr. Soundarya Rajesh is among India's most prominent leaders in the space of women's workforce participation. Avatar, the social enterprise, is India's only organization that provides both strategy and implementation solutions in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Her work in creating careers for women in the Indian workplace is unparalleled, and therefore she is also referred to as the career doctor. Not only is she among the earliest and the most impactful voices to speak, write, and teach about gender inclusion, she also helped hundreds of companies hire thousands of working women professionals through Avatar's work. She is a powerful speaker, author, and a very sought-after DEI strategist. I once again welcome you all on behalf of Team Avatar, India's premier diversity, equity, and inclusion solutions firm, and myavatar.com, India's only diversity hiring portal to the Diversity Mahotsav 2023. In today's session, we have a very interesting fireside chat, the evolution of ESG and the changing role of the Chief Sustainability Officer. For this, I would like to invite Mr. Keshav Prasad, Chief Strategist, ESG Consulting at Avatar. He comes with more than 30 years of work experience as a technocrat, business leader, and a renewable energy domain expert. He comes with a rich background experience of working with organizations like JV of BP Solar and Tatas in India, and ILNFS Energy and JV of Government of Rajasthan. We also have a very interesting personality from the world of cinema, the PVR, which is pretty much a household name at in the Indian context. We have Sangeeta Robinson, the Chief Sustainability Officer at PVR Inox Limited. She now leads the ESG initiatives across each aspect in the life cycle of cinema operations with the aim to create lasting value and reach net zero targets in addition to leveraging the power of cinema to influence and encourage cinegoers to make sustainable life choices. She has over 2.5 decades of rich, diverse experience leading sustainability, DEI, and communications at the Tata Group, Cummins, IBM, and now PVR, and has been widely recognized for her innovative approach to communications and sustainable value creating strategies. She is committed to creating impact where it matters most, enhancing brand salience, and establishing responsible business practices across the value chain. Over to you, Mr. Keshav.
Hi, Sangeeta.
Hi, Keshav. I'm unable to start my video. I think there's something.
Okay. Let's just check. Yes, we can see you now.
Great.
Okay. It's a pleasure to interact with you today. It's a great an occasion where we can exchange ideas, and the audience will be extremely benefited with your rich background and experience. I think today's session I would like to split under 5 topics. We start with your own personal journey and your own evolution as a Chief Sustainability Officer, and how do you see women and sustainability in a different perspective. Then your experience in implementing ESG practice in PVR, what challenges you faced, how you went about, what is current status, how do you see the implementation going forward. Then we will look at India's only ESG framework, which is BRSR. So your perspective on what can be done to improve it, and how is going to be really people take it seriously in implementing it. Then we look at the role of CSOs, and especially your advice to women to take sustainability as a career. Then we will look at, lastly, we will look at how the ESG is evolving in future worldwide as well as in India. So how do you see the organizations embracing it more seriously, how it is going to impact the environment. And I know the place where you are today, it's extremely serious in terms of the pollution which is there, which are all the effects of climate. And also the Chennai today is flooded. So these are all the effects of environment, what we have created. So these are the 5 topics. I will be happy to interact with you, and it's great to learn from you. And at the end, I think we have about 10 minutes of Q&A session where we will have the audience asking questions. So let's start, Sangeeta, with your journey as a professional and sustainability.
So I did my post-graduation in mass communication, and in the first 14 years of my career, I was 12 and a half years of my career, I was a practicing communications professional till I joined the Tata Group, and of course, everybody knows that even back in the 90s, the Tatas had a different perspective and a different way of doing CSR. It was never charity or thing. It was done in a very strategic manner. It was when I got the opportunity to wear another hat in addition to my communications hat and lead CSR at Tata Power Delhi Distribution, which was then called NDPL. I jumped at the opportunity and took that on. once that happened, of course, my interest and my passion was started tilting more towards CSR and sustainability, and less towards communications, which was actually
I see.
my main job. Not nevertheless, I continued to sing, but this bug had bitten me, and I was making conscious efforts to start moving towards sustainability. In between the two Tata companies I worked for, I worked with Cummins, and there I moved completely into marketing. So the shift started there, but I came back and I joined the Tata Group, and this time I resisted and dug my heels into the ground and said, I'm not doing any communication. So while I did continue to lead internal comms, I refused to have anything to do with the media. So external comms was something I'd written off completely. And of course, that was my first pure CSR sustainability stint. And I'm talking about 2007-8, when again the Companies Act, the Section 135 of the Companies Act had not yet got notified. And in fact, at that time, people thought it was a remote possibility that it never would, because it's rather unlikely that it ever would see the light of day. But come 2013, and it got tabled in the winter session in Parliament, and I was in IBM then, and I put in my papers in January, because I decided I wanted to start my own consulting firm. So I kind of said goodbye to the corporate sector, and I launched my sustainability consulting firm in 2013 after serving a 3-month notice period at IBM. And of course, I ran with it for about 3 or 4 years. Initially, things started very well, but then soon a lot of the big four got into the fray as in terms of the sustainability consulting practices. Competition became harder. My funds started dwindling, because I had only my own personal source of funds. And of course, so in 2018, I came back to the corporate space. I joined PVR. At that time, PVR had in this. So while PVR was reporting on the BRR then, but if you recall, 2018, it was still the BRR, and it was still a document which was well written English.
Yeah.
So we got a good copy guy who did your annual report, and he told him to write some flowery stuff, and it was so that's the shape I got it in, and that's where I started consciously. So while in PBR, CSR was already something that was embedded into the value system, because the family in business was very keen that they should give back to society. So we have a separate arm called PVR Nest, which is actually led by somebody else. But I set up the business sustainability practice in PVR, looking at the entire value chain to see how we were performing on E, S, and G. So while there were some conscious efforts that were made to opt for let's say energy efficient electronic equipment, and water saving measures and energy saving measures, etc. But it was more as a business imperative, and less as a strategic focus on sustainability. So yeah. So
very interesting. So during this period, when you started your journey with Tatas, and then CSR, and then landed in your own business of consulting. So did any events were there in the form of a spark which asked you, yes, I will go behind the sustainability? Was there
the notification of Section 135 of the Companies Act
was the trigger? Very good. Okay. I also see a lot of link, synergy between women and sustainability. If you see our mothers, grandmothers, the way the women used to the concept of sustainability, even though they were not aware of the high tech definition of these terms, but how to live a sustainable life was something which you can reflect upon now, whether it is in your kitchen, the way they were recycling the bottle, not that go on, changing them, throwing them out every year or every 6 months. So it used to be I see a lot of synergy between, women undertaking the sustainability career consciously, unconsciously, from that perspective. Very nice, very nice.
Agree with
So,
you.
good.
Yeah. So even things like if I think back and look at my mother and my sister, who were incidentally both been working women, but I have seen my sister, take old saris and give them to this person who makes light quilts out of them. And
Right.
I mean, I myself, so I'm an animal person, so I don't throw out vegetable peels. I don't throw out. No food goes into the bin in my house. So
Okay.
I travel from Faridabad to Gurgaon, and there are a lot of cows and monkeys on the way. So whatever waste we have, vegetable waste we have, I make sure that it doesn't go into the bin and goes to the sink. So basically, I think, yeah, you're right. And India, one way of this thing is, yes, the woman has been centric to be able to preserve, create resources, and be able to use them in the most optimal manner. And India has been the center of being able to, it's a recycling economy. And
Good.
even when things like when our gadgets, for instance, when one gets a new phone, you give your old phone to your maid or your driver or somebody, and it gets used. We are not an unsustainable economy, frankly.
Very good.
Because of the various tiers of of people and the various stratas that we have.
Mm.
So we have a second-hand market which flourishes in the country.
Excellent. Now, coming to your own stint in PVR, how did the journey of ESG start at PVR? You're telling 2013 itself they started the BRR compliance, and then to now, how do you see their evolution or the performance from the ESG perspective?
Yeah, no. So they start. So PVR came in the ambit of the top 1,000 when it was notified for the top 1,000 in 15-16.
Right.
So when I joined in 18, there was one BRR that was already there. So I took on from there, and so while there was no structured sustainability function before me, and the BRR was being written by, inputs were given by the company, and the agency that was doing the annual report would do the BRR as well. So of course that came into my kitty. So when I was hired primarily with the objective of making cinemas accessible for people with disabilities and the elderly, and hiring more diverse people in the organization, particularly with respect to disability hiring. So, as far as the customer was concerned, of course, this was a huge task, because when one dissected the disability space, one realized that in cinema, particularly, if you looked at physical locomotor disabilities, the onus lay on the cinema. However, if one looks at hearing and vision disabilities, that's all content dependent. So it's been a long journey, because even now there is. So I I realized that my work didn't just mean working in the cinema space itself. It also meant working with the producers, and on the other side working with the government, because while the Rights of People with Disability Act was notified in 2016, apart from sending out notices to a few places like some hotels and some cinemas, etc., the disability, the social Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment had done pretty little on this space. I approached them because at that point of time we had heard of this equipment that Dolby manufactures for hearing impaired and vision impaired to stream audio description and closed captioning. They hadn't heard of it. I asked them to come for a demo. That didn't happen. So, anyways, while I was still struggling with that pit, I also started meeting with people in the producers, etc., and even international producers who do make content which is accessible for ADA, complying to ADA and other laws in other parts of the world, dropped that file when it came to India because they were told that India doesn't have the infrastructure. That file still doesn't come to India. Even though since 2018, we have been crying hoarse that we have the wherewithal to stream audio description and captions. We've gone a step further. We are not looking at equipment. We are we have the ability to be able to stream audio description through a person's smartphone.
Okay.
So so the only thing that is required is that the producer should give the audio file to this app developer who signs an NDA with the producer, uploads this thing, and what happens is that when a visually impaired user walks into a cinema which is playing a particular film and he already has downloaded the audio file which is called the audio ticket, it syncs with the audio sound of the theater, and you get the person, and he starts getting the audio description exactly where the movie is playing from. Excellent. So it's an excellent solution. It gives the power of the thing to the consumer himself. There is no issue of maintenance and taking the equipment back from the customer and so on and so forth. These are battery operated gadgets. In case the battery goes out in the middle of the cinema, the person's experience gets compromised. So we decided to go the app route because it completely gives the onus of the it gives more power to the customer. However, there are 7 or 8 films that have been audio described so far. None of them by the producer who's made them. They've either been done by the NGO Saksham or they've been done by the app developer. Interestingly, there's also an OTT platform called NovaFlix now that streams older films that are no longer in cinema on OTT with audio description. So at least for blind users who've not been able to catch the film in the theater because of the lack of accessible content, can now do it on that platform. So so it all started with accessible cinema, and of course I started then of course the BRR demand started growing. So the BRR became the BRSR. And even before it became compulsory, we did it the year that BRR became BRSR. We shifted to that format because we wanted to see how far we were in terms of gathering all the data, etc. So it was an interesting exercise. Since we weren't expected to do it, of course there were gaps. This year we've done better. And of course, just yesterday we had a high-powered meeting, and we are very aggressively looking at. We are not in the top 250 yet. We were close to 250, but then the merger between PVR and Inox happened, so the market cap went down a little. Plus, in some months of this year, the business wasn't too good. There weren't very good films coming. So this year, our market cap has dropped. But next year, we are ready for next year because 24-25 is when the top 250 have to get reasonable assurance done and engage 75% spend of their supply chain in the ESG disclosures. So we've started work on that, and there's a lot of activity happening on this thing. However, we do realize and we recognize that there as far as scope 3 is concerned, it is a challenge for most companies, even more mature companies on the sustainability journey compared to PVR. And we are going to do our best on being able to assimilate as much data as we can. And we do hope that SEBI will give us be a little lenient, and because reasonable assurance becomes a very very big task, because even in the West and Europe, where they're much more mature on the sustainability journey, they go for limited assurance. So reasonable assurance is going to be one big thing. Nevertheless, I do believe that there are a lot of people, a lot of organizations that are asking for a bit of a pushback on this. We will go along with whatever we're required to do. So
very good. Very good, very good. No, it is an excellent initiative. I think the technology wise, I don't think compared to say 10 years to now, with the introduction of PVR as well as the INOX, so the immersive experience which customers will go through. So the technology has played a major role, and you have been in the leadership position in that way. So looking at the BRSR as a framework. So now the definition of stakeholder, 2-3 things are most important in the framework. The definition of a stakeholder, no longer the traditional definitions. So especially an industry like yours, so you have variety of audiences coming in, or the customers coming in. So how do you define your stakeholders? So how do you segregate? Do you segregate them under various categories? What is the type of the channels or the listening posts in terms of enhancing the service offering? How do you do that work? The second part is that both E, S, and G, all the 3 aspects, 3 pillars. What are your materially significant issues? What you have identified, and what challenges you are facing in them?
Yeah, so our top stakeholders, of course, are the customer, the investor, and the employee. Of course, so the customer is, of course, absolutely sacred and sacrament, and so is the investor. So we have a very robust customer feedback and complaint mechanism. We use technology in a very large way. So about 50% of our cinemas have installed panels outside in a lot of cinemas, in various areas, outside the washroom, outside the box office, and so on and so forth. So that we collect feedback from those. We have an email ID. We have a call center number. And apart from that, we also have mystery audits that we conduct on a periodic basis. So there are multiple channels for the customer. Of course, from the point of view, it's a regulatory requirement, and we have a very robust mechanism of being able to respond to investor queries and investor feedback, and so on and so forth. For employees, we have, of course, there's the POSH for women employees, and POSH is taken very seriously at PVR. It says there's a zero tolerance as far as any POSH allegation found to be justified. Also because we are such a decentralized business, and it's not like there are 4 or 5 offices and there are people overseeing and supervising. That cinemas become standalone properties, and the cinema manager becomes the custodian of everything that happens in that the 4 walls there. So for us, it's even more important that channel works, and works really well, because it's absolutely imperative that the women who come to our cinemas to work and serve our patrons are not harassed and are not uncomfortable in any manner. Then, of course, there's a grievance redressal beyond POSH. There are a whole lot of other things that so there's a grievance redressal mechanism that is in place for employees. I'm also working on on the same channel to be expanded. Of course, the recipient will be a different person, but that same channel to be expanded to customers already have, and the vendors, suppliers, and any other external public, because there are times that from an anti-corruption kind of viewpoint, from a human rights viewpoint, we need to have that channel in place for vendor suppliers also. So especially because there is one part of the life cycle of the cinema where there is no supervised PVR Inox person there, which is before the cinema opens. So after the builder, after the developer hands it over to us, but before the cinema starts. So that time is when there are a lot of vendors, suppliers working there, doing the interiors and all that. And there is a chance of a lot of things that can happen. There can be safety incidents that can happen. There can be, other incidences. There can be corruption. There can be, anti-labor law kind of issues and a whole lot of other sets of issues. So we want to be able to have a learning and listening mechanism for those for that period as well. And on an ongoing basis, on an operational basis as well. So that's as far as the stakeholder is concerned. As far as the, of course, there is a very strong corporate communications team that interacts with the media. And we have a government relations team as well that looks after the regulatory part of things. And so yeah, we have most of them have a very regular channel of communication with their respective stakeholders. As far as the material aspects that are most material to us, energy consumption, water consumption, emissions, because not from the quantum of emissions per property, but because of the spread of the business. And of course, because after all, the backbone for a cinema exhibition company is electricity consumption. And we also have a very strong backup, so there's diesel as well, and because we can't afford to have even a second drop when watching a movie. Apart from that, waste disposal, waste management is another area of concern. Safety and security is absolutely paramount. In fact, just yesterday we were discussing something as simple as, one can't even, in terms of the kitchen, because, the PVR menu is quite vast, and there's some stuff that gets prepared right there and then. And so we went and fixed, there was in a few cases, what happens is when you were kind of sauteing things, sometimes the flame goes. So they've gone and fixed. Now we have extinguishers right on top of those burners, so that in case there is a thing, it can douse the flames immediately, because the cinema is a closed environment and one can't afford to have any such incident happen. So safety, security, extremely important. And the other thing that is, so all our material aspects have been mapped against SASB's materiality concerns from a leisure and cinema exhibition point of view. And in addition, we've also added the bit on accessibility. So for us, it's very, very important that we are able to serve everyone who wants to watch a movie. irrespective of the person's level of ability. So we have gone to the extent, in fact, right now we're developing a thing where a person can, if the person is coming alone, a person with disability is coming alone to watch a film, when he or she books the film, they have an option of asking for assistance. So what happens is, along with the ticket, the intimation will go to the cinema manager that XYZ person is coming, he's blind, and he's coming for a movie alone, or he's to watch this movie and this show. So the cinema manager will send someone downstairs so that the person can be accompanied to the auditorium that he has to watch the film in.
Excellent, excellent. So looking at, since you have extensive experience in the BRSR as a framework and its evolution from BRR to BRSR, and also you have been part of maybe the second round of submission now or third round of submission. So what do you think the future of that? What do you feel that the major pain points in the policy which needs the course correction? Recently, I heard SEBI chairman talking the amount of the quality time their team spent in bringing out the BRSR, and also how she wants to make it as practical as possible for the industry. A lot of industry feedback was taken. In spite of that, what do you see is the in the future changes you are looking forward?
Yeah, so I think it's a great job that they've done. I think that it's a fantabulously, especially when you see the Excel sheet that supports the BRSR for data collection. It's brilliant. I do feel that we have jumped a few steps suddenly, because from a very basic requirement, we've suddenly expecting scope 3 as well, and scope 3 is definitely a challenge, and we don't have as a country, we don't have mechanisms to be able to gather that data as of now. But I also recognize that in our country, unless you make something compulsory, it never happens. So having said that, yes, the ecosystem is evolving gradually. I have come across various tools and various mechanisms and various platforms and so on and so forth. So much so that I'm confused. I think so are many of my colleagues, because on a daily basis I get at least one email or one message saying that we have we have this platform, or we have this tool, and we can solve all your BRS, all your sustainability ESG related problems overnight. So I think we've got a problem of plenty, and you don't really know what to go with, because none of us has the experience of it.
I agree with you. I think in addition to the BRSR, the policy, I think there should have been an associated document which will tell that what all the technology that's available to address some of the material concerns. I think that.
So I think we'll all learn as we go along, and as
correct.
we think. So I think it's a learning curve that all of us have to and that's why I love these interactions, because I learn from them too. I'm speaking at CII's Clean Tech tomorrow, and so I like to attend these conferences, because it's a two-way street. I get to learn, and I get to share.
Very good, very good. So you mentioned two issues. One is on the scope 3 is the major issue from the policy perspective. Of course, even though it is not made it as mandatory as on now, but it's an issue in terms of scope 3 with relate to your value chain partners. The second is that in terms of initiatives, you mentioned about energy. So do you have any initiatives under energy, and do you see that sustainability is something your management or the promoters or the board consider that as an additional cost element, or is it what do they perceive the sustainability as?
So point is that our management has always, if you look back at cinema was redefined by PBR,
that's right,
and his team. So and he's known not to compromise on anything when it comes to giving world class experience. The reason I was hired in the first place was because they realized that there was cinemas across the world were working on accessibility, and this was something that we had probably not seen. So as soon as that trigger happened, and plus almost simultaneously, their mother, who is aged and had started developing a knee problem, and that's when they realized that there are other people. So she would only go to cinemas where her wheelchair could go. So they realized that there are other people with other elderly members in their families, other people with disabilities who must be facing the same problem, and that's the primary reason that I was taken on. In fact, like I told you, that was the project that was handed over to me when I joined.
Excellent.
As far as costs are concerned, we have been purchasing. In fact, there are 54 of them now. We purchased power track climbers for existing cinemas, where, of course, breaking steps and all is not possible, and there's no space to do it either. And these are state-of-the-art equipment that carries a wheelchair along with the person in it to the designated seat. And here too, there were models that were available from Taiwan and other countries at half the cost. But I was told to go for the best, because we don't. PVR is not known to compromise on
excellent
on quality. So, so having said that, yes, we recognize that it. Of course, there is a spend, but I think we all see value in it as well. So, and that's why we are, looking at doing whatever needs to be done to be able to not just conform, but also carry out our responsibility as a responsible organization to be sustainable and work towards net zero.
Very nice, very nice. So the in terms of initiatives of some of these to reduce the materiality or to reach the net zero, what are the major key initiatives you have as PVR?
So we have we have a very robust energy management mechanism. We in fact have an energy management expert who is constantly monitoring performance. We have real time monitoring of energy consumption and analyzing patterns across all 370 properties. When it comes to purchasing new equipment, we go with the most energy efficient star rating. Apart from that, in terms of regular maintenance and whatever needs to be done to be able to get optimum performance of our a complete ecosystem. We work very and monitor that very closely. So yeah, we have in fact we have a cloud-based mechanism to monitor energy consumption across our properties and across various points as well. In terms of water, we have water flow restrictors in the this thing in the taps to ensure that it comes with pressure. The water comes with pressure, and thereby we consume less water. Then we also have we have energy sensors in washrooms and so on and so forth. So we've gone across the entire value chain to be able to optimize.
Excellent.
Bachelors are maintained at optimum voltage and in terms of performance, and so basically at every given point, whatever is the need of the hour, we have
very good.
Yes, what to tell you, this is this year. So while we had one solar powered and one wind powered cinema in the Inox properties, this year we have a target of 12, but you must understand that PVR can only convert to solar what is a standalone property and which we own, because the rest of them belong to the builders. So we can only try to influence
them.
So that's a constraint. But this year we'll be converting 12 properties to solar.
Very good, very good. So your net journey, when is the target date, year by when you will?
Okay, I'm not making a commitment yet because we still are talking about
I
it
see.
internally.
Interesting.
That is something that has not been cast in stone yet. But yeah, we in fact these current meetings that we are having is to be able to deliberate on what can be a realistic target.
How do you see the DEI and ESG? They work, intersect each other. What is the level of social part in the S segment? What are the materially significant topics in PVR?
Yeah, so first, of course, globally, what's happened in the country, I can talk about that. That it all started with S taking the prominence. So S was very
Right.
prominent a decade ago or something. As we speak, what's happened is the E has taken over, and S won because I think S is more or less formulated. People have initiatives going on in that space. Nevertheless, I do, because I am a diversity champion myself. So I do feel that I do fear, in fact. I do hope that that focus on E shouldn't deflect the focus on S, because S, at least from an India perspective, there's a lot of work to be done on the S as well. Because I also assess the companies on sustainability excellence with CIITC Center of Excellence for Sustainable Development, and I also have been a consultant myself, and I have traveled to places where there isn't even a washroom for women. I actually was doing an assessment. I was in the factory and I needed to use the washroom. And they looked back very blankly and told me, "Oh, you'll have to go back to the guest house." Guest house was half an hour away. So I go back to the guest house, I come back, and of course that much time is lost because in the assessment, because the discussions couldn't go forward with the team that I was. So and this is not something new. I was with Ambuja, and in their Bombay corporate office, we were having a similar conversation, and they said till a few years ago, even the Ambuja corporate office did not have a women's loo because they felt that there are no women in cement.
I see. No, that is true. That is true. You are right. You are right. It exists, and slowly things are changing, but still it's slow.
And similarly, for people with disabilities, I was hoping that things would change after COVID, because people learned to use alternative platforms so well. But the ecosystem, I sit in the national capital of the country, and Delhi itself is so inaccessible in so many public spaces. It's and I started of course getting more sensitive to it after I started working in this space, because for a wheelchair user, it's absolutely more than 80% of the city is inaccessible.
That's true. That's true. I agree with you.
Something as simple as needing to go for a coffee to Starbucks. The person can't visit any of the Starbucks in the markets. The person has to go to a mall to be able to go to a Starbucks, because
very true.
None of the markets are accessible. They all
that's true. That is true.
Climb up to the veranda.
Excellent. So you have been a very successful sustainability professional. There are many women who are watching this interaction. So what's your message? What do you think? How they can choose the sustainability professional? What is your message to them?
The question got me thinking, and I do believe that sustainability is not just a job. It becomes a mission, and you start living it in your personal space. So if you are just a second, I think something's wrong. Just give me a minute. I think my battery was dying out on me. So my message clearly is that if you are somebody who's really passionate about ESG, most certainly I think it's a great place to be in, because it kind of it's not just a job. It kind of gives you so much of fulfillment, and I would know better, who moved from a corporate communications career. I was right at the top, at the helm, and I just gave it all up because I felt passionately about sustainability. So I would definitely encourage you to go for it. And now there are a lot of courses that there are short courses, and even most of the management schools also are adding sustainability to their curriculum. In fact, I was in FIIB the other day, and they had this beautiful. They had a very interesting round table where they spoke about. It was on commemorating World Disability Day. In order to, they're actually creating a white paper on what is needed to make organizations more inclusive. So,
excellent.
best part was that they had the roundtable consisted people from civil society, corporates, government, and it was a very good mix of people that contributed to this roundtable.
Excellent. You see, I also read that there is a shortfall in the talent and the sustainability field. There's a lot of demand from the corporates, from industries, but there are not enough people. So as you rightly said, that the academics is taking now. There are a lot of institutes offering this. There are many institutes like Avatar is providing some edtech courses, providing deep involved courses as well to become professionals. There are many organizations in India which are doing that job. I think as the BRSR becomes more popularized among the corporate houses, the need for talent becomes that much critical, and women can play a major role in fulfilling that talent, considering that it's a knowledge industry, considering that they inherently have the skill of sustainable management. That's what I believe. It's great interacting with you. Let us see some questions from. You can see the chat box.
Okay, it says, as a professional in a leadership role within the cinema industry, how do you perceive the role of ESG criteria in shaping the industry's future? How do you believe ESG initiatives can empower and support women in their careers within the cinema sector? Yeah. Well, so like we discussed earlier, in terms of so women have some inherent traits, and of course sensitivity and consciousness is one that comes very naturally to us, because I think that's how we're made. Even in the home situation, you would realize that we are more conscious, and our radar is more and I think that's a very useful trait for sustainability, because whether you're dealing with the environment or society, especially when you're dealing with people, and even governance, for instance, in the corporate space, there's a lot of scope for things to not go as per the prescribed value system and things like that. And I think we have an inherent quality to be able to pick up on signs and aspects like that. The second thing, and the most valuable thing, is from a governance point of view also, is that in terms of decision making, etc., we are more cautious, and we're more we take a measured role when we take decisions. So that's from the governance point of view. From a social point of view, of course, dealing with people is something that is definitely a strength, because we are known to be more sensitive. I mean, I'm so sure exceptions that are there, but on both sides. But I wouldn't like to box people by gender, but nevertheless, that's what is.
That is true.
From an environment consciousness point of view, also, I kind of remember as kids we used to be told that trees also get hurt, sort of a thing. And that those kind of things have stayed with a lot of us who have kind of grown that way. From an ESG is all about conserving, right? Conserving, preserving, and being able to make maximize use of a particular resource, no matter what it is. And I think we do that very well. From a long and short point of view, women have done it traditionally through generations, over and over again. And I think from a pure conservation point of view, we are very adept, very suited to the profession.
Excellent, excellent. Do you also display the performance of ESG in the cinema halls?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
But okay. I think that's a great thing to start doing, because from a cinema, now when we start tracking cinema-wise, disclosures, it probably would be an interesting thing to do.
Excellent, excellent. Let us see if there are any other. Anu, are there any other chats? Any other questions?
No, I don't see any.
There is one on top which says, how do you perceive the role of ESG criteria in shaping India's industry's future? How do you believe ESG's initiatives can empower and support women in the career?
Yeah, I think that was.
Yeah, I think
we discussed that.
As far as industry is concerned, it's much needed. In fact, if it had not become mandatory, I think it would have got pushed up even further. I think it's the most critical need of PR. We're seeing it all around. We're seeing it from in the mountains. I belong to the hills, and we've had incessant rains this year that have cloudbursts and things that have swept away town. Swept away age-old temples and created havoc in the hills. Never known for bridges to get swept away with the rain. It's not that rain never used to happen earlier, but the incidences of cloudbursts and things are much more frequent now. And the devastation that we see all around us is a clear sign. It's a warning bell. It's a signal. If we don't do it now, we will forever regretting this inaction. And I'm glad good sense has prevailed. I'm actually grateful to SEBI that they've come up with some of the guidelines and the standards might look a little aggressive, and I think it's great to stretch, because it's only when we stretch ourselves that we achieve something.
Deliver. That's true. I agree.
Absolutely needed. Given that cinema halls attract a substantial and have a audience, how does this position as a frequent space to advocate and implement ESG practices? Could you share? Yeah. So in March this year, we did a campaign, and it lasted till August, where we Bhumi Pednekar, who's also the UN ambassador on climate change and SDGs, she gave her time and her talent to shoot these films. We did a series of 6 little spots that we played during cinema. It talked about the urgency of climate change, what one step in each of the spots. There was one step that PVR had taken to be able to mitigate climate change, and said, and the next one was now hashtag it's your turn to act, and they gave a laundry list of 6 or 7 things that patrons could do: carry cloth bag, carry your own bottle, switch off gadgets when not in use. 6 or 7 of them, small things that people could do to be able to be able to be more environment friendly. So this was a campaign that lasted about 5 months. We will, whenever we have space right now because there's some hit movies coming in, so we have absolutely zero inventory. I can't piggyback on revenue earning. So whenever we have inventory available, we will be doing social messaging in this manner to be able to encourage the patrons to make lifestyle choices that are sustainable.
Excellent, excellent. No, thank you very much, Sangeeta, for your time, and it was a great interacting with you. And I hope the audience feels so similar. And then we have covered a lot of topics. We look forward to hosting you again. Thank you
So much. Thank you.
Over to you, Anu.
Thank you, sir. Wow. Thank you, Sangeeta, for providing us with such fascinating insights. Who would have thought, the intersection of world of cinema, ESG, and DEI was just amazing. Thank you so much for being with us. You're truly a champion. Thank you, sir, for your wonderful moderation. Thank you, audience. You've been wonderful with your participation as well. With this, we draw an end to the celebrating of our second day at Diversity Mahotsav. We thank our powered by partner Kellogg, Brown and Root Engineering and Construction India Private Limited, and supporting partners Genesis and EPAM, and our outreach partner MCCI, Madras Chamber of Commerce and Industries. Our social media hashtags are hashtag Diversity Mahotsav and hashtag Celebrating Diversity. Do post your experience at Diversity Mahotsav on your SM handles with these hashtags. On behalf of Team Avatar and Team My Avatar, I thank each one of you and welcome you to the rest of the Diversity Mahotsav event. Please remember that this event is going to be celebrated between the 1st and the 23rd of December, only on the weekdays between 4 and 5 p.m. As we draw close to the day, I'm going to request you to take a couple of minutes just to provide your valuable feedback on today's session. Could we please have the poll? Please rate our session today on 1 to 5, 1 being minimum and 5 being the maximum. And how would you rate our speaker sessions on a scale of 1 to 5? Is there anything else that you would, wished that you saw in today's session on today's topic? Would you like to suggest a topic as well? Please, we would love to hear from you. And what would be your takeaway from today's session? We would have another exciting day tomorrow with a panel of speakers who would be speaking on the urban landscapes, unveiling women's perspectives. The speakers would be Kanupriya Taneja, Associate Director, People and Culture Artians Technologies Private Limited, Omnicom Group, and Padma Bangaru, General Manager, Process and Technologies KBR. Please visit myavatar.com to explore various opportunities and activities that celebrate diversity. If you have not registered yet, I would urge you to please log on and register right away. Browse through and find various jobs that might suit your skill sets as well. Read articles of interest, upskill yourself through various webinars that we conduct exclusively for you. Signing off today is Anumita Sharma. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.